Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Into the Badlands, Nightingale Sings No More. And this was another good episode setting us up for what's going to be happening in the season finale. Everything's kind of been moved to its end point, and we still get some pretty good movement on like character development and more information going along. So this starts out 20 years earlier, and we see Baji talking to this trunk saying, wow, you've really got some spunk, man. Usually it doesn't take 3 abbots to pretty much bring someone in, jumping around with like a little flea with a bite on her ass. And then he's just like looking at all of her stuff, seeing like the stuff that's butterfly marked and all that. And then the candles go out and the girl punches her way out of the box. And we get a kind of cool little fight scene between them, but even though Flea has activated her gift, she's no match for Baji, who is able to kind of use kind of his weight and his experience to kind of like deflect and everything, like what she's like throwing at him. So he does like half of the move that he had used on the previous abbot, like one thumb on her to like take her down, and then kind of like bring her out of this state, kind of talking to her, like, where'd you get this book and all that? And she's like, well, my father gave it to me. I don't know how to read it, and he only taught me one word, Azra. He's like, well, fate brought us together for this reason. For a reason, you know what I mean? This is what we need it for. So don't tell anybody else about this book, just between us. What's your name? Minerva. And it's like confirmation. Alright, Widow is Flea, and it's pretty interesting. It's see where this is going. How Azra's connected to the abbots. What's going on with that? Where did Flea's father go? And what's his connection to Azra? How is this going to like affect everything going forward? That's the cool stuff. So then we kind of split off to 2 main portions of this episode. Everything dealt with at the Widow's place, and everything dealt with at Quinn's place. So at the Widow, we get to see Sunny kind of like talking with the Widow. It's like, yep, so you're trying to break the system and everything, and that means aligning with Quinn. Necessary evil, that's over now. We're going to plan our assaults and everything, and we'll be okay. And then talking to like MK and Tilda, and you're like, oh, we'll set you up, sorry about everything, we're good. And then like Widow playing nice with him, it's like really weird. So then we get Tilda and MK go off because she told Tilda to take him to his room and all that, get him change of clothes. Same with Sunny, since he is still wearing Chow's kind of clipper get up, so nobody would want to try and like fight him or whatnot. So then we get to see Tilda and MK having a pretty nice moment, a pretty good character development. They're like, this is the first time since last season that they've really been together to kind of talk and all that. And MK's like, it's a great weight that I don't have the gift anymore. I feel free and all that, and now I can devote myself to going to Azra. And then proposes to Tilda to join him on that. And she's like, well, I have a friend and everything, and she makes me happy. And MK deals with this very well, saying, you deserve to be happy, and kissing her on the cheek. I'm like, wow, that's a really cool, mature reaction for MK. I didn't know if he had those kind of feelings for Tilda, but it was kind of cool to see both characters act semi-normal in this situation, you know what I mean? Because it's usually put into like blood, guts, martial arts, and like all kinds of screwed up stuff, and it was just kind of cool to see that kind of moment of calm. But then, of course, we see Odessa looking in, and she was really freaked out by MK, and tells Tilda that the mother wishes to speak with you and all that, and they kind of go off, and MK's like, okay, it's kind of weird. So he just sits down and all that. So then we see Tilda and Odessa talking, and evidently Odessa was on the boat that MK slaughtered, saying that he looked like he enjoyed it and everything, and he just killed everybody there. It's like, except you. How are you able to get away from him in that state? Now, granted, you can miss stuff in that state, but he slaughtered everybody there, and she's pretty much giving an ultimatum to Tilda to say, promise me you're gonna stay away from him and all that. And of course Tilda doesn't, and Odessa walks away pissed off. It's like, yeah, she's got to weigh that stuff, but it's like, he doesn't have those powers anymore. We don't know exactly what portions of MK are used when he controls those powers, But we know that MK really doesn't want to hurt people and that he is trying to atone for that kind of stuff. He's trying to make sure that he doesn't get into situations that he would hurt innocents. And Odessa hasn't got that connection that Tilda's got with him. So that's kind of a new wrinkle. It's like, okay. So we also see that, like, MK was, like, waving at Tilda when she's training people, and it's like, just kind of goes off and does her own thing, doesn't wave back, and then we see MK talking to the widow. And she's like, well, okay, your plan is to go and find Azra. Alright, that's kind of a cool plan. Why do you want it? So he can find peace. And I'm like, yes. MK's kind of developing and understanding that he wants peace. He wants balance. And it'll be cool to kind of see his journey continue on that, but if other people will let him go on that. Because the widow offers him another course that, see this book, because it got back into her hands, we can restore our powers with this. We can restore each other. And, of course, the widow wants that because, as we've seen, she's now developing a taste for power. Because you can see this over and over again. Usually you see when the oppressed try to break the system, in their attempts to do that, they acquire power and acquire the abilities that the oppressors had on them, and in turn, turning themselves into the oppressors too. And we can kind of see the widow doing that. She still has good intentions. She still treats people respectably well. But we see that in turning Vale over and Henry over to Quinn and doing what she deems necessary in order to continue her survival, to continue the quest to break the system while she becomes more enmeshed in the system. And she wants her full fighting potential for that. And of course, MK's like, I don't want to do anything like that. She's like, alright, just think it over. I'll let you think it over. And then she leaves. While this is going on, we also see that Baji is outside the widow's palace and figures out his own way to get in. He was pretty much knocking himself out, pretending to be a runaway cog from Chow. And it does work, and he gets inside, and that's kind of the last that we hear of him for a little bit. So then we start getting to see everything kind of like coming to a head, because this is where it starts to connect with Quinn's stuff. With Quinn, he has gotten... we see this kind of cool scene with him and Gabriel eating what we don't know at the beginning is ice cream. He's like, just try it, Gabriel, you'll like it. He's like, oh, now you're one of 2 people in this army that has tried ice cream. Rarefied society and all that. But I noticed there's other similarities between us. Fire in your blood. I didn't want just black lines on my back. I wanted to carve my name in the world's flesh like a scar. It's like, we're really getting to see how Quinn is just truly losing it. Because he was crazy to begin with. But it was more of like he knew the part that he had to play and be that kind of asshole. This is getting to parts that he's just like, is it him or is it the tumor or the combination to make a really volatile kind of person? Because then he pretty much gives the task to Gabriel of a suicide bomb. So they kind of go off. Gabriel leaves. He tries to have family time with Vale and Henry. She's like, why'd you call us here? Just want to spend time with my family and everything. And just Holy Henry being a douche. And then tries to go to kiss her, and she slaps him, and then he's like laughing and then slaps her. Says, oh, no problem here. Just give her time to cool off. Take her to the ventilation room. And he's like, I just hope you don't have to grow up without a mama, Henry. And it's like, holy shit. And since we've seen Gabriel leave, that's kind of where it starts to intersect back with the widow's part. And we see that everybody's kind of like getting together and trying to figure out what's going on. We see that Sonny was talking with Waldo. They're talking about the whole situation about, like, Waldo switching sides. He's like, I'm adaptable. I just go where I need to go. But Sonny's like, when was the last time you fought for yourself? And that's interesting because, yes, they might be in different points in their lives, but, like, Sonny has chosen to fight for things that he believes in and to also not kill indiscriminately and kill for other people. It's kind of a different path that Waldo has chosen to kind of find who he thinks will be able to best serve, I guess, his interests. Because we don't know too much about Waldo, but we do know that I think he could be the ultimate mastermind of pretty much taking out everything. Because if you've seen, he was at first starting with Quinn and kind of let Quinn go to his situation. He is now with the widow. Now granted, he has tried to put a reign on her and kind of make her into a baron that he could probably think would take over the whole Badlands. But now he kind of sees that it could be his own kind of thing, possibly taking down the breaking of the Badlands. Now, granted, there's nothing confirmed in this episode, just kind of stuff that I've been seeing his character doing. Because he's usually in the background most of the time, and he's not someone that you would think kind of like masterminding anything. But he always goes where he thinks will be tactically advantageous to him. So, him and Sonny are just like, okay, you gotta let your emotions not control you. You gotta know what you have to do. Talking about the plan to go in with the whole Clipper army of the widows, he's like, well, watch your flank. What? Don't trust her, of course. And he's like, I don't trust her at all. No problems. And he's like, well, if you keep going on this, stop by the fort. There's stuff in my old bunkhouse. Think of it as a farewell gift. So they shake hands. He says goodbye, sunshine, which I thought was pretty funny. He's like, goodbye, Waldo. And they part ways. And then we see Sonny kind of like walking around the grounds. He's looking out as like new arrivals are coming in, and then he walks off before we see Gabriel coming into the place. So then we start kind of like getting into everything. The widow and Sonny are in the armory kind of like getting everything ready. He's like, all right, let's go and do this. And she's like, well, what can I do to show you that I'm true with this? I'm going to follow you all the way through this. I don't know, man. It's like Sonny has good reason to not trust anybody. Well, while they're having that discussion, and Tola had to come into the effect, we hear screams, and Gabriel has taken someone hostage. And he's like calling for the widow, and I got a message. And it's like slices the woman's throat, and it's like, who's it for? It's for him and everything. And proceeds to tell him all about like Vale marrying the Baron, and that Henry only recognizes Quinn as his father and all that, and dropping the bomb that the widow had traded Vale back to Quinn. And of course the widow's trying to stop him to do this, throws the butterfly shuriken at him, and then he blows himself up. And there's a lot of carnage going on, and then something kind of happens that I don't understand completely. Because Sonny and the widow lock eyes, and it didn't look like Sonny was going to go after her, at least at the moment. His biggest priority is to get Vale and Henry to safety. She throws a shuriken and misses him, and then Sonny like runs away, and she sets her guards and everything on him. If he's trying to run and escape, I would think that you wouldn't send these Clippers after him, just like let him go what he has to do and deal with him after he's already dealt with Quinn. So we see some kind of like cool escape scenes as like Sonny's able to deal with a 5-on-1 fight, kind of using a dude as a shield because some like crossbow people came in, but he's able to get out. One dude's kind of got him, but then that's when Baji reappears and kills the dude, and they have a cool touching moment as they're like, Baji's like, oh, I got out, no thanks to you. It's like, I gave you the bookmark, man, it's alright. And they kind of like hug it out. He's like, alright, MK's still in there, get him out, meet me at the fort, like, get to the fort, MK will know where, then we'll start what we need to do to get Vale and Henry to safety. It's like, alright, cool. So, then we see MK going through and, like, seeing all the carnage and everything, and Baji's like, MK, come here. So, then they start kind of, like, figuring out what's going on. But Baji is pretty much using this to his own advantage, because his main objective is to get the Azure Book from the Widow. And, of course, this is where Baji drops the bombshell that he had trained her and all that, and he's like, really? Huh, she's fleeing. Okay. And he tells Baji that she's trying to get her powers back and everything, and of course that's where he reminisces on the same old flea and everything, and he's like, well, I know where the book is and everything. He's like, you do? Alright, yeah, but it's not going to help because we need the compass and all that. He's like, well, it's kind of cool that the compass is closer than it appears. Huh, you've had that the whole time? Well, I had a shitty father, trust issues. So, let's kind of go and get that book. And then we see Odessa come out, and they've been listening over everything. So, they come in, they're like looking in the conservatory, they're not able to find anything, so, of course, the widow comes in and has all these people to kind of like stop them, and she's like, well, good to see you, Baji. She's like, oh, why have you blossomed? And he's like, well, I can't say the same for you. So, she's like, alright, I'm calling on this now. You're gonna help me decipher the book and everything. And, of course, MK was like, all you do is want to use me. And she's like saying that she wanted to protect him and everything, tell him that Baji usually only looks out for himself. So it'll be interesting to see if Baji and MK can get out of this situation, because they're pretty much taken away. And the last point that we see at the end of the episode is Tilda and the widow kind of talking and everything. She's looking at the book. Before we get into that, we see like kind of like a remainder of what's going on with Quinn's situation. And of course he's like eating the stuff that Lydia prepared, and of course he's sniffing it because he's completely paranoid now because he's pretty sure everybody's out to kill him, which incidentally is pretty much true except for his own troops at the moment. And talking about how their fates were bound and everything, and she's reciting like all the stuff that they had recited to each other at their wedding and all that. And Quinn's like, well, at least Vale doesn't mock me by pretending to believe the words and all that. And he just says, you know what, our fates are bound. If I go down, you go down. And then, of course, we see him messing with Henry, and Henry's not calming down, and he tells Lydia to take him to Vale and all that, and then to come right back. And while they're en route, Lydia is able to see that they are pretty much bombing the whole place and rigging it so that way nobody gets out. Of course, Quinn wants to go out and blaze of glory on his own terms because, as we see, as he had let Henry and Lydia go off, he is using the opium again, smoking it for the pain in his head for the tumor. And, of course, he's crazy to begin with. He's got a tumor effect in his brain. Adding opium and drugs to that effect completely makes him a trifecta of complete and utter batshit craziness. So, yes, it's crazy to us that he's rigging everything to explode. It makes perfect sense because of the state of mind that he's in. He thinks everybody's out to get him, poison him, and everybody wants to kill him, so why not engineer a scenario where he goes out on his own terms? And then Lydia's like, crap. So the dude lets Lydia into it with Vale, and she's like, alright, we just have to hold out until Sonny gets here. And Lydia's like, we kind of got to go now because they're rigging this place to explode and everything. And it's like, oh crap. So that's kind of where we're left off with them. Then we get to the end of the episode where we get the showdown between Tilda and the Widow. And Tilda is just kind of like really over all this stuff that the Widow's done. They pretty much get to the point where like Widow's like, I need to trust my regent. Why are you acting like this? You've been acting strange ever since Vale got here. And she's just like, you've just been sacrificing innocence and everything and going against what you're trying to do. And she hits with the bombshell, Vale was right, I should have poisoned you. And the Widow slaps her and everything, and she's like, you better don't start something you can't finish. So they start this really cool fight scene, and it's really awesome because it shows how each character's kind of grown. The Widow, of course, has always been deadly and proficient, but it also shows how much Tilda's grown as well to kind of like still kind of go toe-to-toe with her, even though the Widow is able to edge her out in the end. Because they do some really cool stuff with like the flowing of like their clothes and all that with the action scenes and just like showing hits and everything. Tilda, of course, gets hit more often than the Widow because, granted, Tilda does land one good hit on the Widow, but overall, she like slashes Tilda on the arm, kind of slashes her leg and everything, and like pushes her down and drops the chandelier on her. And then she's like, are you finished? And Tilda's like, no, kill me. Don't start what you can't finish. And then the Widow kicks her, and I thought she was going to be dead with the chandelier, but I'm not sure if she's dead or alive now. It's like, holy crap. And the Widow was really affected by this because you can see her kind of like being really sad and almost tearing up at how Tilda's going at her like this. But then again, she's been changing and isn't exactly the same person that she was when she started her crusade. And it was kind of cool to see Tilda stand up to that and become kind of like the next version of her mother, who wouldn't want to stand for these things and actually does want to make a better life for everybody. And that's kind of where we're left with the episode. We don't know if Tilda's alive, what are the repercussions are going to be with this, how the Widow is going to spin this, who her next regent's going to be, all that kind of stuff. How is it going to affect the Widow's kind of portion of the world? Now, we know where Sonny's going to be going. It's going to be a showdown. Can he race through and get into a scenario where Vale and Henry survive this, possibly even Lydia, and how an awesome fight scene between him and Quinn's going to go down. So I can't wait to see this next episode and see where they end this season and show us what's going on for the next season and like see where they're going to be trying to lead us. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.